What's going on, family? Today we're going to be talking all things NIL. It's a new up-and-coming topic in the sports industry. It is how the college athletes are gaining revenue now through sponsorship deals and allowing them to branch out and build their own personal brands through networking and marketing. So this is something that is new in college football, and we have a bunch of information that is all coming in at once and a lot of trial and error. So it's something that is a hot topic we must discuss. So first, let's start with the origin of NIL. The origin traces back to the early 2000s when the UCLA basketball player Ed O'Bannon and 19 others sued the NCAA. They argued that the organization violated the United States antitrust laws by not allowing athletes to receive a fair share of revenues generated from the use of their names and likeness, which is basically your own personal brand. And what the athletes want to do is grow that and generate revenue from that, because the athletes have been not being fairly compensated in the past for the amount of revenue that they generate for whatever institution they're playing for or college, whatever's going on, basically in college athletics for the last hundreds of years, has not been allowing these athletes to make more money other than just tuition and scholarships. So there was that original Ed O'Bannon case with 19 others in the early 2000s, and it took all the way until 2019 for California to pass this law known as the Fair Pay to Play Act. This set up the stage for a national movement. Soon following after came Florida and Georgia. Florida passed a similar law granting NIL rights to college athletes effective July 1st, 2021. Georgia also joined the movement, becoming the 12th state to pass the legislation allowing this. And the U.S. Supreme Court on June 21st, this is the main one, June 21st, 2021, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled unanimously in the case of Alston versus the NCAA. It didn't directly involve NIL or pay for play, but this decision clarified that the NCAA cannot limit educational-related benefits to athletes. This ruling really did set the stage for the further legal challenges and the rules restricting athlete compensation. So this is an ever-evolving landscape, clearly. As the NCAA faces legal battles over NIL rights, college sports are inching closer to an employment model of potential revenue sharing, kind of like the pros. The NIL era has allowed athletes to now leverage their fame for financial gain while maintaining their eligibility, which is great. We actually had a homegrown player, UCF. His name was Donald De La Haye. Most people know him as Destroying. He actually had to give up on college sports and stop kicking for the University of Central Florida because his YouTube account was making a ton of money off his own name and likeness while he was enrolled here on scholarship for football. So it was either football scholarship or YouTube, and he chose YouTube. Now this is something in this day and age we do not have to worry about as athletes, because we can now gain revenue based on our own brand and likeness, obviously, as NIL entails, name, image, and likeness. These NIL deals basically vary on athletes' popularity, their sport, their marketability, their personality. Sometimes it's not even how good they play. It is simply a way for them to make money based off their name, which is something I believe should be available for every person. Let's give a name, Bronny James. Bronny James is the son of LeBron James, if you guys didn't know. And he doesn't have the greatest track record in college right now. He doesn't have the greatest stats. He's not the best player in college right now, but his NIL evaluation is over $5 million because of his name and likeness. So that is a $5 million difference in that kid's life if NIL is not allowed and these laws were not passed. So this is a very big deal for kids, especially ones that don't know if they're going to make it pro, and ones that give up their body, mind, and time for the colleges, and in turn generate revenue for these colleges, but cannot see a dime of the profit other than tuition. Now it is not like that. So now Bronny James gets $5 million in his pocket. Thank you, come again. And Bronny James is a rich man. In summary, while NIL opens the door for athletes, it also introduces complexities related to responsible financial decisions and potential endorsements in the gambling sector. While NIL has been strict on gambling and teaching their athletes how to avoid these certain problems and dabbling into the wrong business with the wrong people in the gambling sector, it is up to the universities to enforce this and keep their athletes honed in on the mission, which is their sport and their personal brand, and not taking money illegally or from poor sources. Back in the day, these athletes would take money under the table from either coaches, boosters, or shady middlemen, and this would lead to disciplinary action from the NCAA. And now we are in the day and age where we are allowed to use our name, image, and likeness and cheers to the future. I think this is a good thing for college sports. Now reporting live from FBC Mortgage Stadium, we have our on-field reporter, Terrell Turner.
Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, and we talked about what NIL stands for. We talked about the history and data of it. We've also looked at some interviews and heard some perspectives on what NIL has done for the college football community. But now, let's take a look at some benefits of what NIL stands for. So again, getting into some benefits of NIL. Sponsored content on social media is the hugest way to receive monetary value. Social media allows the athletes to reach a broader audience without being so costly, and it's catered geographically, unlike regular media advertising. The engagement of the followers on social media allows for that personal connectivity, the fans and followers. It offers advantages to schools with larger, prominent football programs due to the presence of well-organized boosters who spend money to improve these programs. It again allows boosters to target individual players for additional marketing opportunities outside of college as well. The NIL deals create value for individuals involved in contracts through both their direct advertising talent and their effect on attracting additional talent. It also helps the team morale, because we all know team performance, team morale is a huge thing for any team in general. Compared to how NIL was previously viewed with gift cards and smaller cash payments, the athletes can now receive bigger cash outs, bigger opportunities to do more things. It puts a map on high school athletics like never before, and it also gives them the moment to capitalize, to get them to have their name, their image, their likeness already set in stone before they even reach a college campus such as UCF. Locally here at UCF, the Knights football players such as offensive lineman Adrian Medley and defensive tackle Ricky Barber are just a few that have benefited from the NIL program. You found me at a new place. Now I'm in front of the Addition Financial Arena, where the UCF Knights basketball team plays among many other concerts and events here in the Central Florida area. Now, let's talk about the future of NIL. So there are many state laws and university guidelines that are still trying to shape what NIL should be, what is allowed, and what is not allowed. For example, locally here in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis in February 2023 revised the June 2020 law with a couple changes, such as compensation is not limited to an athlete's third party if they're unaffiliated with the school. If you're under the age of 18, you will no longer have to be approved under the Florida statutes 743.08 and 743.09. No longer will athletes have to enter agreements that conflict with the school's contract, which can endure longer if they are not in the program anymore. There's immunity granted to post-secondary institutions and employees, including academic coaches, including something that was added was 2 workshops on being an entrepreneur before they graduate, which is a 5-hour class that they have to take. Now, here locally at UCF, the Kingdom, although it's not a part of the UCF athletics program, they still work with the football program as the official collective and corporate sponsor, with 90% of proceeds going directly towards the athletes. They also host events, such as recently the spring game featuring the Knots versus the Knights, and past events including UCF men's basketball player Taylor Hendricks NBA Draft Watch Party, and the Kingdom's golf tournament, just to name a few. Now, women college athletes, specifically basketball, such as Caitlin Clark and Ujay Johnson, continues to be the lead in elevation and have a high level of engagement of following on social media and in the media world itself. There are also companies that have dedicated to help the athletes and to connect them together. This ever-changing industry allows college student athletes to design and sell their own merchandise while creating their own legacy and their own brand. Yet there's still so many questions unanswered. The future keeps evolving, it keeps changing, and we'll have those answers real soon as the NIL program continues to soar and elevate into new heights in this new era. This is Terrell Turner reporting live from Edition Financial Arena.
All right, thank you. Now let's go down to Marlena for the interview portion of our show.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm here with CJ Walker, who is a current NCAA D1 basketball player, currently playing for the UCF Knights. Go Knights, charge on. Hello, CJ.
What's good, Marlena? Thank you for having me.
So the topic for today is going to be NIL. Can you explain to the listeners what NIL is?
Yeah, pretty much NIL is name, image, and likeness. It allows college athletes to make money off their name pretty much, build a platform out in the open, and people specify college athletes because last year or the years before that it was illegal, but now it's legal.
All right. Thank you for that. So I'm sure that you didn't have NIL your whole life. So how did it change? How did your life change because of NIL?
Pretty much, like I said, I could make money out in the open, and one of the big things for me was money management. It taught me a way to make my money because now I know where my money's coming from every month, so it's easier to save and it's easier to know where it's coming from and know where it's going.
And I'm sure you make a lot more money because of it, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Always a good thing. So if you don't mind sharing, have you had any partnerships or NIL deals that you could share with us?
Yeah, I had one. Actually, Michael Jordan's son owns a store downtown Orlando. And
What's it called?
it's called the Trophy Room. So if you ever need some Michael Jordan gear, you could definitely go out there and get
Some kicks.
So yeah, a couple years ago, it used to be illegal for us to get discounts on clothes and food or anything like that. But now I'm getting a crazy discount from there, and it's because of name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, anything else?
Another one, Powerade. They sent me some stuff in the mail, took a picture, posted it on Instagram, tagged them, and I got some free Powerade, some free clothes.
You drink Powerade?
Yeah, me, my girlfriend, her brothers, we all had free Powerade for a couple weeks.
All right, sounds good. There's a small topic of discussion going around about NIL and high school kids potentially getting NIL. They don't currently have it in Florida, but they could. How do you feel about this?
Oh, there's good and a bad to everything. I feel like the good is a lot of families are unfortunate, and if they're fortunate enough to have a high school basketball player in their house make enough money to help provide them, then that's great. But the bad in it is, some kids don't really know where to put their money. So I feel like that money man that we talked about is real important because I feel like a lot of kids in high school don't really know what to do with their money.
Well, I'm sure you wish you would have had NIL in high school, huh?
Yeah, NIL definitely would have helped me out.
All right, so there's a little random topic going around about gambling and NIL, sometimes in the NBA. How do you feel about gambling? Would you ever do it? Do you believe that players should do it?
Nah, I actually strongly disagree with it because players actually be betting on their own teams, and it's unfortunate because players don't be playing as hard because they try to lose. There's so much that goes into it. So it's just one of those things that it just should have never came out in the first place.
I mean, I do feel like it is good for people in general to do it. I mean, do you believe that other people who aren't players should gamble?
Yeah, but like I said, it always leaves that window open for players to be able to do it. So if there was a way that, I know they try to track every player to do it, but I mean, I don't think it should have been out in the first place. If people haven't been doing it, then players wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay, interesting take. Well, all right, CJ, thank you for coming and joining me in this interview.
All right, thanks for the invite.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, Marlena. Thank you, CJ. Now that we know what name, image, and likeness is, and now that we touched base a little bit on the gambling sector, let's just go over some of the controversies, the legalization, and what we could really see in the future problematically from the gambling sector linked with NIL. So number one, the legalization and controversies. In May 2018, the United States Supreme Court struck down the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act of 1992, allowing states to legalize sports betting beyond Nevada. Since then, 39 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico have embraced legal betting, resulting in over $330 billion in wagers throughout state-sponsored sportsbooks. However, as the popularity of sports betting has grown, so have the controversies associated with it. And this is something we will continue to see over the span of the next 100, 200, 300 years. It'll just continue evolving and changing. There are multiple player scandals, a lot that are hot today, one of them being Jonte Porter. In early 2024, the NBA banned Jonte Porter for life due to his involvement in a gambling scandal. The investigation revealed that he had disclosed confidential information to bettors, limiting his participation in at least one game, essentially faking injuries and telling them to bet the under. He actually had one source place $80,000 on his under one night, and it was the biggest payout of the night across all sports and all athletes. So this raised red flags, and the NBA got investigating immediately and determined that he had been in contact with some people and he had intentionally taken himself out of the game and limited his participation for them to get a payout, and I'm sure he was trying to receive a cut of it. So this is something that was very problematic, and the NBA came down with the ban hammer fully and banned him for life. So this is a proactive approach by the NBA to limit this, and this is something we hope to see in the future. Continue to keep the integrity of our sport intact. And this is something that is not new. It has gone on for a long time. The Goodfellas in Boston College scandal of 1978. There was a real-life New York gangster, Henry Hill, central to the mob. He played a role in basketball point-shaving scandal. Hill was connected with Pittsburgh-based gangsters Rocco and Anthony Perla, who orchestrated the scandal involving the 1978 Boston College Eagles. The scandal tarnished the reputation of Boston College basketball and contributed to bringing Henry Hill to justice. And that is not all. It continues to go back further than the 1978 Boston College scandal. There's another notable scandal from 1961 called the Dixie Classic scandal. So during the 1960 to 1961 season, 22 colleges and universities, including St. John's, North Carolina State, and Connecticut, were implicated in point-shaving practices. Now, this is an outstanding amount of colleges. 22 colleges were caught in 1960. And this is before virtual gambling. So everyone had to go in and lock it in with their bookie. So this is some deep water. Tulane's men's basketball actually also had a scandal in 1984 to 1985. The university disbanded its entire basketball program for 4 seasons due to its point-shaving scandal. And this is 25 years later after the Dixie. So a lot of teams did not learn their lessons, and the greed overwhelmed them. So this is a problem that you would think, hey, NIL should address this and they'll learn and they'll grow from this. You never know. With the lure of gambling and this vice of an industry, it really targets people with addiction and people that can't get over the hump of seeing that money. And this is something that will continue to plague the future, and I really do believe that. So there will have to be really harsh restrictions, rules, and regulations set in place, like the Jonte Porter ban, to make sure that the integrity of sports stays intact. Overall, I do believe NIL is a positive and a very big opportunity for young men and women to capitalize and generate on generational wealth. I do believe that there are problems and there will be tinkering and teetering with the NIL guidelines, but all in all, it is very hard to make a professional league and generate money. You have to be very lucky with injuries. You have to have the right coaching, the right scouts to see you, the right exposure. There has to be a lot to fall into place just for you to play in a league that you make money. There are a lot of uncertainties in this life, but the growth of the gambling industry is not one of them. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry that continues to grow and rapidly expand and plague our sport. Thank you all again for watching. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, you guys can tap down in the comments. I appreciate you guys for checking in with me on this evening, morning, night, whatever time it is where you're watching this, discussing the benefits and history of NIL, the problems that may arise, and basically the future of NIL. So all in all, great thing that these athletes are getting a share of their dime, and I hope you guys feel the same way. Check in later. See ya.